Hello, RCK family. I'm Emily, and I'm excited to share that the title of today's lesson is Rules, and that the big idea is that God used laws or rules to guide his people. Most of us have rules at home that guide our families. Maybe rules like no hitting or don't take other people's stuff. These rules help everyone feel safe and respected. And when we break these rules, there are usually two kinds of consequences. First of all, peace is disrupted. We experience broken relationships with those we love because nobody likes to be hit and nobody likes their stuff messed with. And second, we may have a consequence from our parents if they find out what happened. When I was a little kid, I would take my older sister's clothes without asking, and it would make her so angry, especially if I messed them up while I was wearing them. So you can imagine she was very happy when I got a lot bigger than her and I could never wear her clothes or shoes again. Within the last few months, many of us have experienced some new rules meant to keep us and our families safe. Rules from our governor or rules from our parents, like stay at home, don't hug your friends, or wear a mask when you go out. These rules have been hard for me to follow. Wearing a mask gives me red bumps on my face. And when you tell me not to hug my friends, it feels like you're telling me not to breathe. But I follow these rules because I understand they may help protect others from getting sick. So, what about rules in the Bible? The entire Old Testament is the story of God preparing the world for Jesus. And most of the story takes place in the very special Middle Eastern nation close to the continent of Africa called Israel. It's a tiny country, but I encourage you to look it up and know where it is. The laws that God gave Israel are detailed, and sometimes when I read them, they can get very long and confusing. But it's also fascinating to know that God cares enough about his people to give specific details about every part of their lives. The book of Exodus takes place in the desert between Egypt and Israel. In Exodus chapter 20, God gives the people of Israel a list of laws that we call the Ten Commandments. Two of those commandments, don't covet and don't steal, are rules that I broke when I took my sister's clothes. To covet means to want something that already belongs to someone else. And of course, to steal means taking something that already belongs to someone else. You don't want to miss next week's lesson because it's all about Jesus. He is the only person to ever obey every single one of God's laws. And through his life, death, and resurrection, he made it possible for us to be forgiven for breaking God's rules. And if you haven't already watched today's video lesson, be sure to check it out because it goes into more detail about how God used rules to guide his people.